Hi, my name is Sarah and I'm a horticultural therapist with the Horticultural Society of New York's Greenhouse Program. And today I'm here in a beautiful community garden in Flatbush, Brooklyn to discuss compost. Compost is an organic, nutrient-rich, slow-releasing soil amendment that can be made in your backyard using food scraps and garden debris. It's good for the environment by reducing the amount of waste we send to the landfills, as well as improving soil structure and health, the nutrients in our soil. It's true that all organic material, whether it be this cotton shirt that I'm wearing, a head of cabbage, or a tree stump, will eventually break down through the process of decomposition. However, compost is a more controlled process of decomposition that you can do in your own backyard. So now let's look at the pieces and parts of compost.
Compost is made up of 4 ingredients: carbon, nitrogen, air, and water. Carbon, also known as browns, is usually made up of dried leaves or dried grass clippings, ripped up brown paper bags, paper towels, napkins, the hair from your brush, or lint from your dryer can make up the browns for your compost. Greens, or nitrogen, are usually made up of your kitchen scraps, your plant materials that when you remove plants from your garden, this will make up your greens. And often in your greens is where you're going to find your water. The other ingredient is the air, and that comes from the turning done by us. Those combined with the help of microbes and fungi break down those materials. The microbes are eating away at those materials, which is why you want to make them as small as possible when you put them into the bin. This gives them more surface area to eat away at it quicker. And once you do that, with a little bit of time and attention, you're going to end up with this beautiful, rich, nutrient-dense soil amendment made at home called compost.
There are many types of composting systems to meet every gardener's needs and level of engagement. From throwing everything into a pile and letting it break down over time, to being more active and getting down and dirty, flipping it once a week. There are also options here in the city just to go drop off your food scraps and let somebody else do the composting. Today we're going to check out 2 systems, the 3-bin system and the add-as-you-go system.
The 3-bin system is ideal if you have a fairly large space and lots of plant waste. The 3 bins allow you to have compost at various stages of process. You begin by filling the first bin with food scraps chopped up finely, any dry, woody brown material like leaves, and turning it regularly to mix the ingredients together while adding oxygen. This turning also allows you to gauge the moisture level of the pile. And by regular turning, I mean you're turning it every 1 to 2 weeks. Once the material in the first bin begins to break down and look a little bit like compost with only small pieces of familiar plants, you're going to flip it over into the second bin and allow it to decompose during the quote-unquote cooking stage without any disturbance. The only time that you would turn it or disturb it is if you start to smell a foul odor or notice some of the materials beginning to rot. By the time you want to move the material to the third and final bin, it'll look like compost. You'll notice here that this second bin is nearly finished and needs to be turned to the third and final bin. You'll also notice that this third and final bin is completely empty, as this community garden has just restarted their composting program. Once you're at the final stage of compost, you can begin using the compost in your garden to grow healthier, stronger plants and soil. Next, we will look at the add-as-you-go composting system. This is probably the most common form of backyard composting. Why, you may ask? Well, because busy people who care about the environment want a quick yet healthy way to dispose of their waste. Small households rarely create enough kitchen scraps to build a full pile. It is also a really easy system to build. It's only 1 compost bin and can be made out of wood or chicken wire. You just want to make sure that there's airflow. A downfall to this method is that the materials break down slower than other composting methods. To start, you need to build a 3-inch base at the bottom of the bin for ventilation and drainage. This base is made up of coarse materials such as twigs, straw, weed stalks, or plant stems, chopped up and moistened. Next, you continue building the pile as materials become available. Alternate the layer between greens and browns as best you can. Food scraps, greens, should always be covered by a brown layer, such as leaves, ripped up paper bags, peat moss, or dryer lint. You never want to have any kitchen scraps exposed because it'll attract rodents and other pests to your compost. Last, make sure you're turning your pile of compost on a weekly basis. You can use a small shovel like I have here. This will help your greens break down faster, and it prevents smelly compost from building up. Thanks for coming along and learning about compost and composting systems with us today. We hope this inspires you to start composting too.